I picked him because he looked like a dad. Not a daddy. Not a girl, he's 6'2" thirst trap. A dad. Ben wore weatherproof boots and texted his sister reminders to bring a jacket. His dog came when he whistled. He stacked the dishwasher like he believed in order and second chances. On our second date he fixed the wobbly bistro table at the coffee shop with a folded napkin, then tipped like the world ran on kindness. I was 8 weeks pregnant when I told him. We'd only been out 4 times. Sushi, a street fair, a hardware store run, his shower head, and my couch for a movie that made me cry in the last 10 minutes because I was so tired of pretending I wasn't scared. The real father. Marco. Was a situationship I don't brag about. Bartender charm, motorcycle, a key that never fit my door. We'd known each other 6 months and somehow didn't know anything at all. When I told him I'd missed a period, he sent a thumbs up and then radio silence for 3 days. On day 4 he said, "You're strong, whatever you decide, I respect it," which is a poetry slam version of vanishing. I stared at Ben across my coffee table while the opening credits rolled and said, "I need to tell you something." I expected him to panic. He didn't. He sat forward and gave me that steady attention that made me feel like I was being read, not scanned. "I'm pregnant," I said. "And it's early, but I know what kind of person you are. I want to be honest. It might be yours." That was the first lie. It wasn't a might. It was a no, with calculations I wanted to outrun. He asked questions that didn't feel like cross-examination. "How far along? Seen a doctor yet? You okay?" When I said 8 weeks, he did quiet math and said, "We met 6 weeks ago." I nodded, steadier than I felt. "Sometimes dates aren't exact," I said, which is true in the way that clouds are wet. He put his hand over his mouth, thinking. When he dropped it, he said, "If it's mine, I'm 1000% in. But I need a paternity test. Not to get out. To go all the way in with both feet." "Wow," I said, defensive tears pricking because shame turns everything into an insult. "So you don't trust me?" "I don't trust luck," he said. "I want to do this right." 3 days later he emailed me links. Not Reddit threads. Labs. AABB accredited. Explaining non-invasive prenatal paternity testing using my blood and his cheek swab, single nucleotide polymorphisms, accuracy above 99.9%, chain of custody if we wanted it admissible in court later. "I'll pay," he wrote. "We can do it now, or we can wait and do a simple cheek swab after birth. Either way, I'm here for appointments, pickups, whatever you need physically. I just won't sign an acknowledgement of paternity or start nesting until we know." I stared at the email until the words blurred. Then I called my friend Nora and told her he was policing my uterus. She said, "He offered to pay for science." I didn't want science. I wanted momentum. I wanted the world to snap into the shape I'd sketched, me, the baby, a man who wore boots with arch support and could build a crib without cursing. I wanted to trade chaos for competence and pretend it was love. I didn't agree to the prenatal test. I sent a photo of the sonogram instead, the little shrimp-shaped dot crouching inside me like a secret. He sent back a heart and proud of you, which made me cry harder because I hadn't earned it. Ben came to my 12-week appointment and sat in the plastic chair like a student. He asked the OB about vitamins and lifting limits and the hospital's policy on immediate skin-to-skin. He carried a notebook and wrote things down. When the doctor asked for my last menstrual period, I nudged the date forward by a week. The doctor nodded and wrote the number. Ben didn't say anything, but I saw the part of his brain that runs on spreadsheets twitch. On the way home, he said, "We can still do the prenatal test." He wasn't nagging, he was offering me a bridge. I burned it. "It's expensive," I said. "And it's invasive." He didn't argue that my blood draw was less invasive than naming him father without proof. He just said, "Okay." After birth then. I'm not signing anything until we know. He said it gently, like a boundary can be a blanket. I told my mother Ben was the father. The words felt like a warm lie between my teeth. She cried from relief. I'm 27 and she has a church lady's fear of daughters with secrets. And immediately began crocheting a blanket. She invited Ben over for dinner and fed him lasagna like she was auditioning him for the role of son-in-law on a sitcom. He did the dishes without making a speech. She called him a good one as she topped off my water, and I looked at the floor. Marco texted me after the lasagna, "You good?" I wrote back, "Yes." He replied the next day with a selfie from a day party and a girl I didn't recognize pressed into his side. I blocked him because I am not a masochist, I am a liar. At my baby shower, my aunt taped paper clouds to the wall and wrote "It's a boy," with a dry erase marker we stole from the church basement. Ben stood in the corner like furniture. He brought a gift. Diapers and a portable sound machine. And a card that said, "We will figure this out." When we did the game where people guess due dates, he wrote mine exactly. I moved it a week later and made it a joke. Everyone laughed. Ben smiled with his mouth, not his eyes. A month before my due date, I went to the hospital tour. They gave us clipboards with a cheery form titled birth worksheet that had a box for father's full legal name. Ben looked at it, then at me. "I'll be in the room if you want me. I'll cut the cord if the doctor asks. I'll drive you home. But I'm not signing the AOP until we have a test." "The what?" I asked, like I hadn't Googled it at 2 a.m. On a Tuesday. "Acknowledgement of paternity," he said. "You can put your name on the birth certificate at birth. For me to be listed as the father, we both have to sign in front of a hospital clerk or notary, or a court has to order it. I'm not signing until we know." It wasn't a threat. It was a fact. Somewhere between his dog's recall and his notebook, he had read the rules and decided to live by them. I went into labor on a Sunday. He came when I texted. He sat behind me on the bed and supported my back while I breathed like a freight train. He counted with me. He held a cup with a straw. He wiped my forehead like the room might be graded and he wanted an A. When the baby crowned, I heard him make a sound I didn't know a grown man could make. Something like laughter and prayer. And I hated him for being good and I loved him for being there and I wanted the truth off my chest like a weight. Our son was perfect and purple and then pink. I sobbed into his damp hair and felt the world contract to the size of his ear. Ben cut the cord when the doctor asked. He took off his sweatshirt and tucked it behind my back to make me warmer. When the nurse brought the birth worksheets and the AOP, he shook his head. "After the test," he said. The nurse nodded like she'd seen this movie. In the quiet hours afterward, I sent a single text to Marco, "He's here." The message turned blue and said delivered and then read at 3:14 a.m. I put the phone face down and didn't tell Ben I'd sent it. 2 days later, we took our son home. Ben installed the car seat like it was an exam. He set up the bassinet with clean sheets he'd washed himself. He brought over groceries. My favorites, Greek yogurt and strawberries. And a stack of frozen dinners. He left before dusk. On day 3, he scheduled the cheek swab test at a lab across town. Chain of custody, he said, because he knew I'd Google it later. We both show ID. They swab you and the baby and me. They seal everything. Results in about a week. He paused. Whatever it says, I'm going to behave like a man. I just need the truth. I almost confessed. I opened my mouth and tasted metal. Instead, I nodded and tucked our son into his car seat. At the lab, the phlebotomist was a woman with soft eyebrows. She cooed at the baby, swabbed his cheek gently, and labeled the vials with numbers so emotion couldn't follow them. Ben paid at the window with a card and told me not to worry about it. I said thank you like it was an apology. The results came by email 8 days later while I was burping the baby in the blue chair my aunt gave me. The subject line read, paternity test results, case hashtag 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 hashtag. I set the phone down, then picked it up again, then set it down. I texted Ben, you read it first. He replied, immediately, I'd rather open it on the phone with you. I called him. We didn't say hi. He opened the email and read in that dry calm he uses when he teaches his nephew chess, probability of paternity, 0%. Silence is loud. The baby made a bubble sound. My mouth was cotton. Ben did the thing I'll always respect him for, he didn't ask me to perform a confession. He didn't say I knew it. He said, okay. Then, I'll bring over formula and diapers for the week, but after that, I'm going to step back. I won't sign anything. I won't be on the birth certificate. I won't come by. I'm going to give you space to figure out next steps, including contacting the actual father. He won't. Marco won't. I stopped. I heard my voice like it belonged to someone on a sad radio. I can't help with him, Ben said, not sharp, not cruel. I can help by not standing in the doorway of a life that isn't mine. He came by that evening with bags he wouldn't let me pay for. He held our son once more and kissed his hair and said, you are so loved, because that's who he is. Then he put my spare key on the counter. I'll text your mom to make sure you're not alone this week, he said. And I'm going to send an email to your family clarifying the paternity so my name doesn't get passed around like a cautionary tale. I'll keep it simple and kind. I'm not going to post anything. Please don't tell my mom, I blurted, terror and shame burning in the same place. He inhaled through his nose. You told her I was the father, he said. She deserves the correction. I deserve my name back. He sent the email. He CC'd me. Hi all, it read. I want to share a quick update so we're all operating with the same facts. Baby's name is healthy and beautiful. We received the lab results from the paternity test, and I am not the biological father. I'll be stepping back so my name can navigate next steps with privacy. Please direct baby questions to her. I wish her and the baby the best. There was no attachment. No certificate. No scorekeeping. Just the facts. My mother called me 5 minutes later and said my full name like a prayer and a curse. I told her the truth, all the way back. She cried the kind of cry that's part grief, part relief. Relief that she isn't crazy, that the math wasn't weird on purpose. She asked me what my plan was. I said child support, like it's a vending machine you can kick until a Snickers falls out. If you've never done this, in our state, if the mother applies for child support, the agency opens a case and looks for the legal father. If there isn't one, no marriage, no acknowledgement of paternity, they locate the alleged father and order genetic testing. If he is the father, they establish paternity and set support based on income and time. If he isn't, they close him out. No amount of, but he's so charming changes the algebra. Marco refused to answer calls. The agency served him at work. He took the test. He was the father. A number got calculated I will not print here. It was less than Instagram promised. It was the number the state assigns to reality. Ben did not gloat. He did not forward me screenshots of Marco's Yelp reviews or make a burner to heckle him. He didn't message me except once, when I posted a black and white photo of the baby's feet with a poem that made it look like I was thriving. He wrote, "You're doing a lot by yourself. Ask for help when you need it. People want to help. Not I want. People." I owed him a public correction. Not because he demanded it. Because I had allowed. By omission, by my mother's Facebook post, by my baby shower. The impression that he was the man who'd gotten me pregnant and then maybe balked. So I posted, hands shaking. I shared news too fast and let assumptions fill in gaps. Ben is not the father. He showed up for me with decency and boundaries. Please give him peace. If you prayed for me, thank you. If you gossiped, please stop. We're good over here. People liked it. People DM'd me little hearts. The machine whirred and moved on. I ran into Ben 3 months later at the farmer's market on a Sunday that smelled like peaches. He was buying flowers from the woman with the sun hat who undercharges everyone who brings their own vase. He saw me and he saw the baby and he smiled like a person who has learned to put his face back on. He didn't touch the stroller. He didn't lean in. How are you? He asked. Learning, I said. Tired. You look like someone who knows where the burp cloths live, he said. It was a joke and a benediction. He lifted the bouquet and nodded toward the sky. Take care. He walked away with his weatherproof boots and his piece. He won, if that's how you keep score. He never signed his name in a box that would have glued him to a lie. He never entered a house that would have turned him into a ghost. He offered science, not drama, presence, not performance. He cut the cord because a tiny person needed the right hands in that moment, then he stepped back because the right hands don't hold on where they don't belong. I used to think men win these stories by being colder than women. That's not it. He won by being warm and firm in the same breath. By buying diapers for a baby who wasn't his and then handing back the key. By sending a short email instead of a long indictment. By refusing to let my panic be his map. I am learning different verbs. Ask. Check. Admit. When the child support office calls, I answer. When my mother wants to bring soup I don't like, I say yes. When Nora says, "Do you want me to come over and fold laundry while you nap?" I say please. When people ask where's the dad, I say, his father and I are not together. We co-parent. It is both less and more than the story I wanted. At night, when the apartment is quiet except for the loudest little breaths you've ever heard, I put my hand on my son's chest and practice telling the truth to a person who cannot yet understand it. You were always wanted. I tried to build fast what should be built slow. A good man made a hard choice. I learned how to be one in my own way. Ben will be someone's father someday, and he will be excellent, and it won't be mine to watch. That is not a tragedy. That is a boundary. If I am very lucky, my son will grow up to be the kind of person who demands the truth gently and walks away when it doesn't show up. If I am smarter than I have been, I'll never again try to make a family by insisting the math loves me back. We did only date a month. I did swear the baby was his. He asked for a test and walked away clean. That's the whole story, heavy and simple as a stroller you lift into a trunk by yourself, learning the balance, finding the strength, getting it done.